Hi all, my name is Ken. I'm the director and composer of Freebird Games. My friend Lenny here and Melina, they're officially married now on Tuesday, and I'm here for the wedding. And of course, I thought if I'm in Brazil, I should visit you guys. Well, we actually worked together a few years ago, and it was actually wonderful. You guys introduced me in a way to many of the Brazilian folks. And it was because of you guys that To the Moon, in many ways, got such a reach in Brazil, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm working on right now. I'm working on Finding Paradise, which is I wouldn't say a sequel per se, but it's the episode 2 of To the Moon, and so in a way, it is the next step in the series. In a way that perhaps a bird story I introduced wasn't. The To the Moon story essentially was about, To the Moon was about Johnny's story. And that story concluded completely at the end of To the Moon. But Finding Paradise essentially has a connection with To the Moon in the sense that the two characters that kind of leads the player through these stories exist. And their story, kind of overarching story, continues throughout. So for Finding Paradise, it's more about the new story of a new patient, but visited by old familiar faces. The patient is the main character from the bird story, although in some ways it's also quite different. It's funny, it's actually one of the, so in Chinese cooking we have a kind of cut of pork that you have all the layers, it's called wu hua rou. And I've seen that here cooked in a different way. It was like kind of fried kind of way. So that was actually quite, that was quite fascinating, and I loved it. It's very, yeah, it's one word I should have learned. There's definitely more folks working on it now, although most are still, kind of part-time. Everyone has their roles and comes by when needed, essentially. In that sense, there are maybe about 8 people or so working on Finding Paradise, maybe 10, 8 to 10. For To the Moon, there were less people, and there were people working in a less dedicated way as well. Oh, yeah, well, I try not to think about it, that's why I drink whiskey now. But yeah, it's, there's definitely some sense of pressure, but all I want to do is still make things the way I did back with To the Moon. It's, in a way, it's a sense of me trying to communicate with the outside world in a way that it's things that it's difficult to say in just words, I guess. Who said he has a drug problem? Well, if we all ask nicely, I figure there's a good chance, right? I guess to not give in to what you think, what I think, I feel like a game should be, as opposed to essentially just go for something that's actually meaningful to me in some way. And I think, in a way, people are not as different as, sometimes we all feel like we are, because we all have those core things that kind of connect us all. Like, we all feel those essentially very fundamental things. I feel like to make something that's meaningful to me, and I know that it would be meaningful to other people as well. There are other people who would find it meaningful in a way that I do. Well, given the amount of work there's to juggle around, I rarely have the opportunity to like throw away a song per se. Like for To the Moon soundtrack, I think pretty much all of them were just used in one way or another. But it's also fortunate because I also get to manage the write the dialogues and the scene itself. So in a way, it's much easier to do fitting, like matching music versus scenes, because I have that internally, like in my head of what it needs to be. I guess it definitely helps a lot. Depends on which I get stuck on. So sometimes I get stuck on this the music, and then I write a bit of the scene and kind of gets what kind of mood I need through, or otherwise I get stuck writing the dialogues and I go work on the music, which is kind of like a buffer. It's kind of interesting how our minds work, because when we don't know what exactly the words to say, I feel like to get that mood through something wordless like music, it's almost like that buffer that tells you, okay, now this is the mood you have, and then it makes the words flow easier. Man, I actually haven't thought much about this through, but Neil Patrick Harris would probably be there somewhere. About Time. That's a movie I don't think you've ever heard of. I'm not sure if I'm riding on the nostalgic train or whatnot, but it's a game from my childhood. But I grew up in China, so it was this Chinese RPG that never got released abroad, and it was called Toontown. And it was about this kid who could speak to animals, who helped wage a war between the dogs and the cats of the town. Yeah, it was. It had a good sense of humor and just all around. Good crafting system. Well, what I'm hoping to do at one point is something that's more of a psychological thriller. Like I hate to be boxed into like an expectation of making things that's emotionally in a specific way, I guess. And I think there's much more to be done, and psychological thriller is definitely something I would like to try. Yes, to both actually. But I've known the story for Finding Paradise for ever since pretty much around the time To the Moon ended. I actually worked on it for a little bit after To the Moon ended, and a bird story was not even planned at that point. It was just something that kind of spontaneous that happened. But yes, I've known Finding Paradise for quite a few years, so in that sense, maybe like almost 5 years. Of course, it's always been refining in that time. It's been fermenting, hopefully in a good way and not a stinky way, but. At this point, I'm just afraid of giving out numbers. I'm just gonna say when it's ready. So far, originally the date given was either the end of this year or the beginning of the next year. I would definitely say the conservative estimate then the middle of next year. But hopefully not then. But yeah. Well, that is a question that I would love to ask you guys. But I would love to work with you guys, of course. Hey guys, I just wanted to say to you guys and gals in Brazil that I really appreciate your support with the project from Free Games, and it really means a lot to me that folks from all over the world like you and Jogabilidade even paid interest to something that someone like me created all the way up north, and I can't always promise that everything I make will be something that is satisfying to everyone out there, but I can promise that everything I make will be something that means a lot to me, that genuinely means a lot to me, and hopefully means a lot to you too. So I just wanted to use this opportunity while I'm in Brazil to say obrigado.